Welcome back. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is hard not to notice the pink ribbons, the NFL players wearing pink wristbands and cleats. It is also a good time to take a look at where we are in the battle against the cancer that too often takes the lives of our wives, mothers, grandmothers, sisters, daughters, and friends. Keep this in mind. On average, every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. Every 13 minutes, a woman will die from it. And joining us for more is Dr. Karen Silver, an oncologist at Florida Cancer Specialist, Dr. Gray Swore, a radiation oncologist at 21st Century Oncology, and Dr. Alisa Schulman, who specializes in breast cancer reconstruction surgery. It is an honor to have you all here today. A new report by the American Cancer Society shows the number of breast cancer deaths dropped 39% between 1989 and 2015, saving 322,600 lives in 26 years. How did this happen?
Earlier detection and better treatments and more awareness. I think it's not just one answer. It's a confluence of events, I think, that the science has moved forward, detection, mammograms, ultrasound, breast MRI. Women are doing their own self-breast exams and finding abnormalities and seeking attention sooner, and public awareness. I think it's a combination of all those things.
It's the whole menu there, but is it also true that the treatment has evolved so well over the last couple of decades?
Absolutely. I think we have better surgical approaches. Chemotherapy has made huge differences. And in radiation therapy as well.
And in terms of, Lisa, in terms of reconstructive surgery, we are so farther along than we used to be.
It's no longer as deforming as it used to be, so there's less fear about what happens when I lose my breast. Can I have a new one? Or the fear of not having a breast is hopefully going to be replaced with I can have something close to what I had before. And so women are not as afraid. I mean, there's a lot of denial out there. With all the awareness, it's gotten better.
And what a huge difference does that make in terms of, because when you're battling a cancer or any serious illness for that matter, there is such a psychological component to that. If you have a feeling that you could at least get back close to where you were before, I would imagine that makes recovery a lot easier.
I think that's more than half of it. When we start meeting with patients who are newly diagnosed with breast cancer, it's very much an emotional support, trying to show them there's going to be multiple steps. It may take some time, and yes, there's always a chance of complication, but there's always hope. And my goal that over a year or two, we've not only gotten them back to where they were, but maybe even better. So we're programmed now to think all the positive things from my aspect, and still being realistic, and lots of support. And I think the technology and our ability to really recreate a breast is there.
Karen, how did we get so much better in terms of educating women in terms of self-examination that has led to this earlier detection?
Well, I think that many years ago, people didn't talk about breast or gynecologic things. You know, it was almost taboo. People didn't talk about cancer 20 or 30 years ago. And I think it's touched everyone now. And more people out there in the media will come out and say they've been touched or their family member's been touched. So people aren't as afraid. And also the fact that it's not a death sentence. Your guest in the beginning that Bo Beth interviewed, people should know it's not a death sentence, and it's not.
And how young is the education getting in terms of young women, in terms of getting through to them that even when you're younger, even though the numbers are less, it's still important to examine yourself and to just know what to look for?
I think all the awareness has been a great thing. Kids are doing a lot of events with their parents. They see it at school, and I think children, you know, all ages are aware of it. Some have lost family members and friends. So I think that now that we are talking about that kind of thing, breast and cancer, they're not taboo words anymore. I think that's been a great thing, and I think people understand that there is a family history. Sometimes, not all, not in most cases actually, but if you do have a family history, then that's another time to start
Okay, we are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more on Breast Cancer Awareness Month right after we check First Alert Weather. Stay with us. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and joining us for more is Dr. Karen Silver, an oncologist at Florida Cancer Specialist, Dr. Grace Swore, a radiation oncologist at 21st Century Oncology, and Dr. Elisa Schulman, who specializes in breast cancer reconstruction surgery. I cited some numbers just a few minutes ago. I want to cite a couple more. Between 2006 and 2015, overall breast cancer deaths rates decreased among Black, White, Latinos, Asian, Pacific Islanders, and American Indian, Alaska Natives. But in 2011, the breast cancer death rate among Black women was 44% higher than white women, although it still dropped to 39% in 2015. Any thoughts about why that is?
We think it's mostly access and fear of what happens and fear of something of the unknown. I don't know if we know of any genetic predisposition, but most of the time it's all about early access, early detection.
You were telling me that you were on a panel locally not all that long ago, and you heard things that kind of surprised you.
I can't imagine anyone being afraid of me, but I'm white. I can't imagine being Black. So I didn't know about the fears of going to a non-Black physician, and so we don't have that many Black physicians here. So it does kind of change the milieu. And so that's sort of a difficult thing to address, even though I'd like to think everyone has the same access. I know that's not true.
Access is the other issue. There are substantial people in all our communities that cannot afford to go to the doctor, who may or may not have insurance. And do you think that's also an issue that...
Absolutely. It's not just going to the doctor. It's the mammogram. It's the cost of the mammogram. Do you have insurance? Do you not have insurance? Where do you go? Who initiates it? It's a whole web of doctors that are involved, once you have breast cancer. So I think it's a little overwhelming and easy to just kind of put your head in the sand and...
People should know that at Sarasota Memorial, though, they do free mammograms for people that do not have insurance. During the month of October, I don't know if that is held over, if they don't utilize all those spots, but free mammograms are available for women if they do not have care.
I want to talk more about mammograms in a moment, but I also want to ask this question. When you're thinking about the number of deaths, going in the right direction, not as many women are dying from breast cancer as years before, and we talked about early prevention and so forth, but there's also been a trend towards women who are diagnosed in the very early stages of breast cancer, going for a double mastectomy, going the whole 9 yards, and in other cases, women who may have a family history of breast cancer, almost doing a double mastectomy prophylactically. Is there any debate within the medical community about whether that is the right approach, and what do you tell your patients?
I don't think there is a right approach. I don't think anybody in the medical community would dare to say that to anyone. I mean, that's a woman's personal choice, and it might not be the decision I personally might make, but that woman is the only one that can make that decision. And the field of genetics has really gotten so sophisticated that there are women that might be at 60% or 80% risk of developing breast cancer in their lifetime. Well, that's huge. There might be a woman that saw her mom die of breast cancer many, many years ago, and you never get rid of that memory, and she doesn't want that to happen to her.
And I would imagine that although no one would want to go through that kind of surgery, reconstruction has gotten so advanced and so good at this stage that the idea of doing that as an alternative is not as scary as it used to be.
It isn't. We certainly have well-known women in the public who have done the same or something close. And because we have things now with nipple-sparing mastectomy, where you wouldn't even see the scar, it's pretty much in a cosmetic position, and really great implants. We've added fat grafting, which really adds a softness and naturalness and kind of a win-win for the patient as far as losing fat somewhere and gaining it somewhere else. That the fear of deformity should be much less now. And so that makes it a little easier. And women want to take control of their medical care. And that's been a big issue, and being able to show them that they can do that, and with some time and with some surgery, still have their same identity.
Gray, I want to talk about another subject, which is also kind of difficult. I read an article earlier today about, from a journalist who was suffering from breast cancer, who said that she had 30 or 40 examinations, and they did not reveal anything, and she was told she had an easy-to-treat form of breast cancer, and then it came back 16 years later. When you have the examinations, it doesn't always tell the full story.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. So there are a lot of things involved. I'm a big proponent of self-breast exam. Everyone should know how their own breast feels. It's something that should be done monthly. Patients hopefully are seeing their gynecologist or their primary care physician, and a breast exam is being performed. But it's really that in addition to yearly mammographic screening. And now we have 3D mammograms, and that has really aided in early detection.
What is the limitations of this technology? Because obviously, women, there are different kinds of breast density. Mm-hmm. I know that has been an issue that comes up with mammographies and mammograms. And what does the 3D allow you to do that you were not able to do before? And is the technology improving that it's becoming a little bit more certain than it used to be?
Right. 3D definitely is better for for dense breasts. That's really the best study. And the best way I can explain it, it's like slicing the breast like a deck of cards, and you're able to look a little bit more in depth at the breast tissue, and dense breast tissue specifically.
So Karen, what would you tell women out there? I know the easy thing to say would be you do everything. You do self-examination and you go see your physician regularly, but even then, you just relying on your physicians like yourself and is not always the easy thing to do or the right thing to do. So what is the best approach?
I would just say that no test is perfect. I mean, we don't have a test that's 100% perfect for every single woman. So all of these things in combination, but if a woman has something that's not normal, she shouldn't just say, well, I had my mammogram, it must be fine, because unfortunately that's not necessarily true.
We should also bring up MRI as a detection, especially if someone has a family history, a history of breast cancer, dense breast, or a palpable finding that doesn't show up on mammogram.
And Lisa, you told me that there are women, especially in our area, who are, even as they get older, they are going for reconstruction, where you didn't used to see that as much in the past.
It's a younger, older community, and everyone's healthy, and of course this is Florida, so the bar is raised very high for a body shape, which is great, but it also means I have to make sure that it's all safe for the patient. So there may be other medical conditions I have to take in consideration, but certainly age is not just a number, so I have to look at the whole patient, and I don't look at their age as much as I look at their health situation. But again, implants, we see a lot of older implants that were put in cosmetically that could impair your breast exam.
Right.
And so that's been an issue, a lot of older implants that are impairing what you can see on a mammogram.
That's an interesting issue, but we have to take another quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts in a moment. And our guests join us for final thoughts. And Karen, I'm going to begin with you because we were talking, we all know it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Pink is in, even on the at the NFL games. But in general, we know what it's about, but we don't know exactly what we should take away from it. When you think about this month, what's your thoughts?
I'm filled with hope. Like your speaker said in the very beginning, breast cancer is not a death sentence anymore. It is a very serious condition. It's a scary condition. We get women through a very difficult time, but by and large they're cured afterwards because of early detection, because of better treatments, both chemotherapy, endocrine, radiation, surgery. We've come a long way, and it's very exciting.
Great, that was my next question. Where are we going? We see that mortality is down. Women are being diagnosed earlier. What is yet to come?
Well, that's something that there are trials going all the time with better drugs, and radiation therapy is now not always 6 weeks, it's now sometimes 4 weeks. So we're making progress every step of the way. But I think, early detection, educate yourself, genetics, genetic testing if you have a family history is going to be key, and really just watching Dr. Google may not be the best way to get your information.
And Elisa, I want to give you the last word.
Well, I just think reconstruction is such a huge amount of options right now, from a lumpectomy divot to absent both breasts. We have so many things we can do, and I think patients should just be very honest with their physician what they want. I would only ask that they'd be patient. I can't do it all in one surgery. If they give me some time, we can make not just their breast, even their whole body a little bit better. I want them happy. I want them getting past the cancer. I want them living their life with the body they want.
All right, and we'll have to leave it there. Thank you all. Before we go, we want to share with you some thoughts about last night's show on the Aqua by the Bay project. We asked for your thoughts about the role that campaign contributions by prominent developers to county commissioners voting on high-profile projects. Cindy says, thoroughly disgusted that they have once again sold out to developers. Shame on them. They each are personally responsible for ruining the environment. Paul says Aqua by the Bay remains incompatible with Manatee County, Florida's comprehensive land use plan, and clearly deviates from Manatee County's building development codes. Why on God's earth would the Manatee County Commissioners support giving Carlos Baruf 16 buildings that are almost 3 times the allowable height? Kevin says, I think we have the best county commissioners money can buy. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions. They're on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And just a reminder, if you want to stay up to date on the latest breaking news, local news, see alerts on your phone instantly, iPhone and iPad users will need to download our new news app. Just go to the App Store and search for WWSB or My Suncoast. Android users, no worries. You'll get the new version automatically. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Dr. Karen Silver is an oncologist at the Florida Cancer Specialist. Dr. Grace Swore is a radiation oncologist at 21st Century Oncology. And Dr. Elisa Schulman specializes in breast cancer reconstructive surgery.